Let's do this. Okay, Parshas Tetzaveh. The first pasuk is V'ata tetzaveh al bnei Yisrael v'yichlu alechem shemen zayizach chazayas lamar leha'alos ner tamid. You should command bnei Yisrael to take shemen zayizach to bring to the menorah for the lighting of the lamps regularly. La'alos ner tamid, to light up the light that is always lit and that never goes out. So the Parsha is about the clothing of Big Day Kohen Gadol and the regular Kohanim. And so that's what the Parsha is about. And with, as in all of these Parshios, these, so to speak, boring Parshios, where you think there's nothing really, I can't believe what just happened. There's nothing really relevant in this Parsha of like the Big Day Kohen Gadol. There obviously always is a Torah lesson in it for us. And so we're going to start in regular Reb Yoel fashion with this lesson right in the first pasuk. And it's talking about the menorah. And we know that the menorah was always lit. And the assignment that was given to us is right here. Give Bnei Yisrael, this is their assignment. And the assignment of creating all the different vessels of the menorah, not of the menorah, of the Mishkan, which the menorah was one of those vessels, were given to specific people. And specific people made specific items and vessels for the Mishkan on the behalf of the entire nation. But what was our job? Hashem didn't command us to build the vessels as individuals. Hashem's request was for us to add oil every single day for the menorah. It's a very simple request. Show up and add the oil. Now, every day, what does that mean for us in a spiritual sense? What does that mean for us today? That every day we have to be doing our part. Bring what we have. It's very, very simple. This was the request of Hashem, not to make huge grand gestures of making a golden menorah or creating a mishkan, but to show up consistently every single day, because consistency in any avenue is very, very powerful. In a relationship, how do you show up? Do you show up? Think about what relationships feel like to you. Do huge grand gestures and that obviously don't have the ability of sustainability, right? Does that feel good? Or does slow, steady, calm consistency feel more valuable and intimate almost, right? And in a relationship as a parent, let's say, are we a parent that shows up in just a big, massive birthday party once a year? Or do we have a smile and a warm breakfast every single day? The big extravagant ways sometimes miss the tiny moments that a child craves, that a human craves, that we all desire in our relationships. And so if we translate this into our relationship with Hashem, how are we showing up? Can we say the whole entire book of Tehillim in one day? We could, but do we need to? We don't need to. And Hashem is saying, in fact, I rather not. Hashem rather every single day chipping away at our larger goal, showing up every single day, day after day, in the smallest of teeniest ways, and never giving up, but showing up showing up always, consistently. If you look at the book of Tehillim, actually, it's split up into days of the week and days of the month. And Reb Yoel says, do that. Don't try to do everything all in one day. Our personal contribution that was asked of us straight from Hashem in this pasuk of the Torah is to light up the menorah through this lighting of the menorah in the simplest, most every single day, mundane almost ways, right? Something that we can have the ability to commit to every single day. And if we want to do more, we can do more. I can say every once in a while, feel inspired and say the whole entire Tehillim every day. I can sit and daven for 3 hours, right? But if my go-to is to daven for 3 hours, that oftentimes is real overwhelming. And I can show up and daven for 2 hours every day. Think about Hiskodedus. Do I want to sit in total unity, just me and Hashem, out in a forest for my whole entire life and my whole entire day, living in this world of bliss and spirituality and total connection? maybe in an ideal world, that sounds like a little slice of heaven, right? But what if I every single day took 5 minutes to communicate with Hashem, just 5 minutes? Anybody has 5 minutes, right? And this joy challenge that we've been doing this week, these are ways of integrating joy. We're in the month of joy. It's a whole entire month of joy. It's the season of joy in the entire year. And then we have Purim, which is a day of focused, very, very high energy of joy. But stopping for 3 minutes to do this joy challenge every single day, that's real integration. That's taking the energy and the lesson and the feeling and the practice and the desire into every single day. It becomes a part of our life through doing it in a small and integrated and consistent way. Now, what's interesting about this request, also about the oil, is that it was a request. It was to bring the oil to Moshe. Now, Aaron was the person lighting the menorah. He was the Kohen Gadol. So the question here is why are we involving Moshe? What does Moshe have to do with the oil? And why are we having this by way of Moshe? And the answer that I found was very interesting. The oil represents the spiritual potential that we all have as individuals in our soul. And oil is just oil is fuel in a menorah. Oil itself is not enough to just have oil. It's not enough to just have spiritual potential. We all have spiritual potential. We were born with it. We're born with its okay? We were born with the soul. We were born with the mission, right? But being born with it is not enough because we're all born with it. And you see some people have it actualized and some people don't. Oil needs to be lit. It needs to be activated. The potential that we have inside of us needs to be lit up for the light to really, really shine and to transform the oil, which is the fuel, into light. And the fuel that we have is our spiritual potential. And this is what Moshe was. Moshe lit up our spiritual potential. And he wasn't a leader who simply gave over instructions or information or commandments or textual downloads, which we have from him. But there was more to Moshe. Moshe was more to us. Moshe was a human being who spoke panim al panim, face to face with Hashem. His connection to spirituality wasn't theoretical. It wasn't an intangible idea. It was very real to him. It was just as tangible as it is to us face to face. Face to face means like person to person. The same way that we speak in a relationship face to face to a human, this is how Moshe's relationship was with Hashem. And so we came to Moshe, we came in contact to Moshe, and we created a connection to Moshe. This is what we learned from him. And that was part of the practice of bringing the menorah, bringing the oil for the menorah. Part of it was connecting to our spiritual guide. And this is the kind of leader that Moshe was, that our relationship when we were in touch with Moshe, our relationship with God became tangible, was lit up, became very, very real, because he was somebody whose spiritual potential was actualized. And so that's by connecting with him, that's what it brought out in us. It brought each person to us a place of revealed goodness, the revealed godliness of each and every one of our own actualized spiritual potential. Now, this happened then when we were bringing oil to the Mishkan, and it's just as important today. It's just as important today for us to be connecting with real spiritual guides, with God-fearing Jews in any capacity. And the lesson in this for us is to surround yourself with spiritually awakened and alive and connected people. Now, how do you know? How do you know if it's real, if it's really authentically connected? I'll share with you how I know, and maybe this will work for you also. But what I always pay attention to is, does this person or this situation or anything, does this guide reflect back to me? Does it reflect me back to my own light? Does it awaken my own God-given spirituality? Does it keep me outside myself, or does it bring me back to myself? Does it light me up? Does it light my potential up? When you come in contact with somebody who is truly connected to the source, who is a true like spiritual inspiration or guide, it's impossible to walk away without being lit up and without being affected in any way. And so this is my litmus test, not just with guides, but with friends, with people, with places, with environments, with actions. Any action. Does drinking water make me feel good? Does learning Parsha make me feel good? Does connecting with nature make me feel good? Does connecting with this person make me feel good? Does being in this environment make me feel good? Do I leave feeling lit up? Do I leave feeling energized? Do I leave feeling filled and inspired? Or the opposite, drained or down? And all you have to do is pay attention to it. And if you start paying attention, you'll start noticing. And through noticing, you get to choose. You get to choose the people and the places and the world that you create for yourself. And we all have the ability to create a world for ourselves. All we have to do is pay attention. If you desire to have a spiritually activated and engaged be life and be that kind of person, this is who you need to surround yourself with. And in actuality, this is not reserved just for guides. Each and every one of us have this power to show up in our own way to the world, because we all have a piece of God inside of us. We all have a light inside of us. And this is exactly what our individual job in building a Mishkan. And obviously the Mishkan is not just a little building in the desert. A Mishkan is our home. A Mishkan is our life. Our Mishkan is our community, our family. This is our job in building ourselves into the Mishkan was a vessel for spirituality. And so we want to know how to create ourselves into a vessel of spirituality, of abundance, of blessings, of everything. Show up with your light. Shine it on yourself, shine it on others every single day in the best way that you can. That's Hashem's request for us. This is his commandment for us. It's not just about the menorah. This is a commandment for us in our lives today and every single day. Having the oil with the spiritual potential is just the start. It's just the tools that Hashem gave us. Our job, our work is to light up that spiritual potential. And this is giving us literally the guidebook of how to do it. Now, something else that's very interesting is that Moshe's name is left out of this Parsha. It's for sure not in this sentence. This is a commandment for Moshe to tell us. And it doesn't say Moshe. And it's actually the only Parsha from the time since Moshe was born that his name is left out. And it's left out of the entire Parsha. Now, something else interesting is that Moshe Rabbeinu's Yortzeit is tomorrow. And Moshe is, now the timeline is actually interesting. Does Parshas Tetzaveh always come out on Moshe Rabbeinu's Yortzeit? I don't think so. But we actually spoke about this last week of when the Parshas fall out and the seasons and with the Chagim and how the logisticals of it work out. And Etya had a great explanation of it. Moshe's Yortzeit is tomorrow, and there's a significance there. Now, it's interesting because Moshe is not missing from this story. There's many psukim that refer to him. We know that this is talking about Moshe. Moshe's is not missing from the story, but Moshe's name is missing from the story. And the Zohar has an explanation of this, and I'll just read it to you, a direct quote. A tzaddik that has passed on is found in all the worlds in an infinitely greater degree than when he was alive. And meaning, when a tzaddik is alive, his life force is housed and covered in a physical body. It's limited. Humans are limited. We just are. And so when a human being is in a physical body, they're limited. And after somebody passes, a tzaddik, yes, any human being, after somebody passes, he's limitless. And we have so much more access to him. And Rabbi Miriam just spoke to us about Reb Yoel this week about exactly this. When I think all of us were there on Sunday, that we have so much more access. When a human being is here in this world, I can speak to one person at a time on the phone. I can hold one person at a time's hand. I can be present in one moment with one person at a time. And when after somebody is no longer here, all you have to do is really tap in. It doesn't mean that you no longer have access to their guidance, to their energy, to their love that they have for you and that you have for them. All you have to do is tap in and connect to it. And the relationship just shifts. It shifts from a physical form. I'm no longer holding your hand right here in this world in a physical form. That doesn't mean that they're not with you all the time. They're even more with you when they're no longer limited by their human body. And this is a practice that I have done for myself and the people in my life that I've lost. And if you have a desire to connect with somebody who is no longer with us in physical form, I urge you to find ways. You can ask me about it if you want, but to find ways to create a living relationship with them. Now, back to Moshe Rabbeinu, a person's name. What is it? What is a name? What's my name is Chaya? What's a name? A person's name is really just a way of referring to my human self. This limited version of my soul that is in this incarnation, in this world, in this moment, in this lifetime. A name never really captures my entire essence because a name is just a name. It's just one word. And maybe you have 2 or 3 names, but a name doesn't define you. It's just a way that people can refer to you. It's almost like a label, right? When you think of yourself, when you think of your essence, and I think of who am I as a human being? Who's Chaya? Who am I? It's not my name. Chaya doesn't enter my mind or when I feel into who I am. Who am I? I am my energy. I am my soul. I am my spirit. It's so much more than just my name, right? And it's interesting because when you think about names have all sorts of negative or positive connotations. When you name somebody after somebody, right? Oh, I am naming my son after whatever, a name. Let's say we pick the name Leora. I'm naming my daughter Leora, right? You connect it with the other Leoras you know. Or let's say Karen, for example. Karen in our generation is a name that might have a negative connotation, but I grew up with an Aunt Karen and she wasn't a Karen, right? But now this name has like an association based on our experience, based on our belief, on our stories, whatever it is that are tied into names. And names do have a power. Your name does hold a side of you, but it's just a side of you. That it's not your essence. The essence of a human being cannot be boiled down into one simple word, into one simple name. And so when you speak to somebody, and Hashem is giving this commandment to Moshe, and he says, you. Now, when I look into somebody's eyes, you look into your eyes, I look into a human being's eyes, and you acknowledge their entire essence. This is not something that can be spoken into a word. But when you look into somebody's eyes and you feel into their energy, into their spirit, into their soul, this is what captures them entirely. And if you stop and think, who am I? I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a cousin, I'm a friend, I'm an aunt, I'm a whatever, I'm a nurse. The different names and the titles and the experiences and the parts of ourselves, they are all parts of us. But these are roles that we play. These are ways that we show up. These are not things that define the entirety of our soul. Now, the best way to describe myself, and I have thought about this often, who am I? How do I describe myself? The best way I can describe myself is just saying, I am me. Being with me, seeing my soul is the best way I could possibly define myself. I can't define myself with words, can't define myself with a name. I am, even if we think about the incarnation that I am housing right now in this world, it is just a little tiny speck of my soul's entirety of purpose from the beginning of time until the end of time. We're just in a little teeny slice right now. So if we're zooming out, your name is just a name. Is there a function in the name? Does it hold something? Of course it does, but it's not your entirety. And so not using Moshe's name actually is doing exactly this. It's talking to the greater essence of who Moshe was in his entirety. not just in the role that he was playing, not just in the actions that he was doing, not just in the way that he was showing up in our lives and his life, but he was somebody who led with his entire essence. And the lessons that we learned and the ways that we interacted with Moshe, this is in this Parsha, are speaking to his entire essence. Because actually, Moshe had 10 names. Hashem has many names. Yaakov, Sarah, like these, there are many people in the Torah who had many names. Yisro had many names, right? Hashem has many names, but each of these names really only reflects one attribute, one singular characteristic. There is no one name that could reflect and speak to the entirety of not Hashem, definitely not me and you. And so this is a reminder to us, Moshe's name being missing and referring to Moshe just as this not as in a limitless form, is a reminder that we really are all created in God's image. We all contain a part of God, a piece of God, not a physical piece, a spiritual piece. And what is that part? What's the part of God inside of me? It's my soul. It's my light. And that is really what my true essence is. And so everything else that exists in our life is simply an external. It's external. It's a dressing. It's a costume, with Purim coming up. But we are not limited by any of our circumstances, by any of our characteristics, by any of our personality traits, by any of our roles that we play in our life, or by any single attribute. Our physical and spiritual potential, and the role that we play in this world, and in all my past worlds, and in the worlds to come, in the time of Mashiach, far exceeds any of the limitations that any physical form has on us. And so that's our job. That's our job here today and every day, is to find this light and to find ways to ignite the light inside of us, to light it up. That's what we're doing with the lighting of the menorah, and to do our absolute best and stay committed to this path of staying in flow with your true essence, none of your limitations, and to the part of us that is a part of God. So to summarize all the different ideas that we spoke about, our job, the way that Hashem requests for us to show up, is to stay consistent, to drop the oil in every single day, to drop in that fuel, and to have it lit up by way of connecting to leaders like Moshe Rabbeinu, not just Aaron, who is doing the lighting, but of Moshe, who is connecting to us in a spiritual sense, that staying connected to leaders, to humans, and creating a world that ignites the flame of our spiritual potential that we have from all of us. This is something that we learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. And the fact that Moshe's name is not mentioned in this Parsha teaches us about that we're not limited. We're not limited by our names, and it guides us to stay connected to our true essence and our true purpose in this world. And I desire for all of us to have the gift of being conscious of this and living in flow with not just our externals or any physical side of ourselves, but with our true essence, and to have the ability and the choice to live a life that feels consistently connected, not just sometimes wholly enlightened, but holy and enlightened every single day, consistently, one day at a time. And that's it. Thank you, everybody, for learning Parsha with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful Shabbat.